So we got Coach Billy Turnage here from Holy Cross High School. Man, I gotta get used to saying that. Sitting down with us on Rip and Go, man. Bill, how you doing today, boss?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me.
Man, appreciate you sitting with us, man. So for those that don't know, Billy Turnage, legendary high school basketball coach in New York City, has been on the sidelines for about 2 decades, man, and is continued going strong, man. And we're gonna sit down and get a I guess you could say a little docu-series on Bill today, man. So Bill, where were you born and raised, Coach?
I was born and raised in Queens.
Got you. What section in Queens?
St. Albans.
Okay. And what was that area like during your childhood and coming up?
I mean, I was born in the quote unquote crack epidemic era. So it was rough. I would ride a train with my friends from the local neighborhood. We go borough to borough, park to park. We'd hoop out. But I mean, typical inner city stuff. Wasn't nothing crazy. My pops didn't. My mother and father wasn't going to allow me to be crazy anyway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You mentioned your mother and father. You came up in a 2-parent household.
My parents were separated. But I was in between both households. I was staying at my mom's. I stayed at my pops as well.
Got you. So what would you say were some of the differences you noticed? I guess in your upbringing, having a father involved versus say many of our peers, especially in the 80s, just didn't have their father involved. So
I think it was important for me, being a young black man in the neighborhood that I was growing up in, because there were so many different directions that I could have gone other than what the path that I chose, or the path that was put in front of me. Mm-hmm. My dad wasn't he wasn't a guy that put your hands on you, but he had that stern look. Like, he gave you that look, and that was enough to bring you to tears. So for me, it was all right. You know what? I got friends doing A, B, and C. For me, I'm gonna do D, because I know I gotta go home and look at this man and answer and deal with him. But also, as I got older and once I picked up hoops, I knew what I wanted to do. So I knew I had to take care of my academics, and I knew that I needed to do certain things to be able to play ball.
Yes, sir. How did you get introduced to the game of basketball?
So my mom moved to Brooklyn. I didn't want to move to Brooklyn. So I went to go live with my dad at about the age of 11 or 12, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that's when I moved to the other side of Queens, known as the North Side, O'Connell Park area. So O'Connell Park, most people know, is OCP, major park. Like, we had, like, everybody would be in there. Boo Harvey, Mark Jackson, Shelton Jones. Like, it was a place called the Cage. Like, as a kid, you had to sit on the bricks. They wasn't letting you play. Yeah. So you had to, wait your turn, and then once you got your turn, you had to show them that you deserved to play. And then we also had St. Pascal's in the PAL Center down the block, which was open 7 days a week for the most part. So I just, once I moved with my dad, I started hooping 7 days a week, all day, every day. Got you.
So around that age where you didn't want to move to BK with Mom Dukes, that's when you got introduced to the game.
Yep.
What other sports did you play as a child, if you played any other sports?
Baseball, but I sucked. I was horrible at baseball. I think I played like 3 years of Little League and never got a hit. I kid you not. My grandfather, was an umpire at the time. He'd be calling me out on strikes because I was scared of the ball. I wouldn't talk to him for like a week because he called me out on the strike.
Got you, man.
I learned very quickly that baseball was not my sport.
Got you. So once you picked up basketball, it was pretty much your favorite.
Yeah, that was it. If I wasn't playing it, I was watching it.
Got you. Who were some of your coaches as a youth that helped you understand the game when you started picking it up?
Oh man, so at St. Pascal's, my first coach was Coach Bruce, but St. Pascal's was a dominant CYO program. So we had a lot of great coaches in there who was hands-on with the kids, a lot of development, intense practices, demanded the most from us. So Coach Bruce, Coach Sandy, Coach John, Coach Bob Dawson, who I played summer ball with. Those are guys that really instilled a work ethic into me to if this is what I want to do, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Shout outs to those gentlemen. And you mentioned some of your favorite parks growing up. Were there any other some of your favorite spots to hoop at when you were coming up as a youth?
Like I said, O'Connell Park provided a lot of competition. Everybody from all sides of Queens would come to O'Connell Park. But we would get on our bikes it would be me, Dwayne Woodward, who's coaches at Rhode Island right now, Reggie Jackson, Paul Ruddick. We'd hop on our bikes and we're going from OCP to 147, 134, 15 Park, St. Albans Park. Like we're just hopping on our bikes and we're riding. We're looking for run. That's it.
Got you. And that's pretty much how y'all went about like ironing out your game and whatnot.
Absolutely, because you know, first of all, if you're from another part of Queens and you go to that part of Queens, they look at you like, all right, well, we about to bust your butt.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not happening.
Got you, man. So what middle school did you attend and where you was honing your game at from, like, you said you picked it up around 11, so from 11 to 14, what middle school were you?
Junior high school 238, known as Susan B. Anthony's on Hillside Avenue in Queens. I went there, and like I said, there was talent in there. So I started there in 6th grade.
Who were some of the other players in there when you said there was talent in there? Who's
Andre Ulrich, who went to Holy Cross and then went to Pitt. They call him Big East. Shaheen Holloway, head coach at Seton Hall. Deshaun Holloway, his brother. Man, I'm missing a few guys. We had a Steve McDaniel who played at Andrew Jackson. Man, there's a lot of guys in there. We used to have wars with another middle school known as 192. They had all the talent as well. Got you,
man. And this was during your era, like not prior or after. This is as you're going to school there.
As I'm going to school there, yeah.
Tough. What high school did you end up attending coming out of middle school?
So I went to Holy Cross for 3 years. Then unfortunately my grandmother passed away and we couldn't afford the tuition. You know, my grandmother was really taking the claim to tuition. So my senior year, I transferred to Andrew Jackson, and you know what? I think that was... I love Holy Cross, to be honest with you. They treated me well. I have nothing bad to say about Holy Cross, but transferring to Andrew Jackson and playing for Coach Granby opened up my eyes as a young black man to another aspect.
And why do you say that? Like, what did Coach Granby open you up to?
The world as a young black man. How we need to act, how we need to behave, how we need to move, how we need to speak. He treated us all like his son. You know, he raised us as such, and you know the things that he instilled in us. From, you know, he had these crazy sayings, and you know anybody that's played for Jackson can rattle off a ton of coaches' sayings to this day. And I mean, it's things that stuck with you. You know, he, like I said, he raised you like you were his own.
You feel as if many of his lessons still stick with you today as a
absolutely,
man?
Absolutely.
Got you, man. So let's go back to your freshman year at Holy Cross. What level did you play and how did that season go when you were a freshman entering high school?
Sheesh, how did that season go? I reckon what you told me many moons ago. I don't remember, but I can tell you that experience for me was an eye opener. During that time, freshmen didn't play varsity basketball.
Right. Talk about it.
You didn't. That wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
You know, everybody played freshman basketball. I don't care who you were, and when you would go to the freshman league, like people would pack the freshman games because they would see the future of the CHSAA.
Right.
You know, you went from freshman to varsity.
Right.
I want to say we were probably 500. I remember I think we got destroyed by St. Ray's, ironically in the playoffs for the freshmen. But what the talent time might have been talent time. Yeah, it was talent time because no, that was JV. Whatever, man. Many moves ago.
Okay, got you. How you felt you was rocking out? Everybody remember whether they was playing well or not. So how you felt you was doing on freshman level?
I played well. I didn't really understand the nuances. You know what I mean? I was an inner city kid, you know, who, you know, was raised in the hood, and we played a certain way. You know, we got to it off the dribble, head down to the basket, stuff like that. So I was pretty quick. I handled the ball pretty well. I was good defensively. I couldn't really shoot until like my senior year of high school, though.
Like many New Yorkers.
Right. I didn't care to shoot.
Right.
I was getting my little 15 to 18 getting to the basket. I'm like, you know, why shoot?
Right.
But so it was good, man. Like Holy Cross opened my eyes. Coach Kerr, who was the varsity coach, like I remember he would take me in the summer and he put me on the side basket doing workouts and open run, and I had to one hand form shoot so much that my elbow and my shoulder would hurt. Like so he was making me understand that there's more to this game than what I had.
totally understand, man. So now as you wrap up that you wrap up your freshman year, your first year of high school, your eyes are opening up. What are you thinking heading into your sophomore season? Are you looking at varsity, going from freshman to varsity, or you thinking you playing JV? What do you?
Oh no, I thought I had it made. I thought I was going straight to varsity. Like there was no ifs, ands, and buts about it. But looking back on it, when I was at that time, I was like, nah, there's no way I'm not on the varsity. But looking back on it, I get it, right? Because like I said, we had Andre Ulrich who went on the pit, and then we also had Pete Lamantia who played at Princeton. You know, so those two guys were playing 32 minutes, right? So looking back at it, it's like, all right, why am I going to move an underclassman up if he's not going to play? And that's a philosophy that I have now. I'm not moving any underclassman up because you need to be on the court to develop.
Right. So, so I'm guessing sophomore season you played JV.
I did.
All right. How did that experience go? JV level.
It's funny. I played.
Did you feel disappointed at that time in your life?
Disappointed? Honestly, probably yeah, or mad more so. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I was a typical kid. Like, why am I not playing varsity basketball?
Right.
Not realizing, you know, the adult coaching side of it, but. I played JV. We had a solid year. It's funny. I played for Coach Gilvari, who's the head of the Catholic League. So it's funny how my life tied in with Ty's life, right? Yeah. So now he's admissions and a math teacher at St. Ray's, and he was Ty's freshman math teacher. So like, but I played for Coach Gill. Coach Gill was a player's coach. If you could do it, you do it. You know. So I played for him. And like I said, we either lost to Talentine my freshman year and St. Ray's my JV year, or in verse.
Got you. And y'all went far. I'm guessing y'all went far in that JV.
Nah, this was like second round, maybe.
Second round.
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. So now as that summer, as you wrapping up your sophomore year, what were you doing as a sophomore in that sophomore summer? Getting prepared now. You about to be an upperclassman. You headed to the varsity level. Catholic League at that time, one of the best leagues in America, if not the best league in America. How would you prepare for that opportunity, knowing that it lies ahead?
So that's the funny thing, right? I didn't prepare. I didn't prepare. I was a young, confident kid who was like, all right, you know what? I'm next up.
My time, right.
I just continued. I didn't do anything different. I continued to do what I did. I didn't really work on my shot like I needed to come back, because at the varsity level I wasn't getting to the backboard like that. You know, and I was so offensive minded that it hindered me my junior year, because Coach Kerr was like, no, you're going to pass the basketball, and if you don't go to pass the basketball, you're not going to play. So
got you. So how did that junior year go then for you? It didn't go really all that well for you? It
was below my expectations, but it was good and bad. I shared the point with Danny Gimple, who's the head of the Rising Stars, and went on to Adelphi. I think he was like 4 years collegiate All-American D2 or something like that. I had a great experience. Like, I was with my boys, you know what I mean? So I wasn't playing as much as I liked, but I wasn't sulking or anything like that. During that year, actually my grandmother had gotten sick, so I missed a lot of school.
Sorry to hear that.
I missed a lot of school, and probably like I probably missed like 4 weeks, 5 weeks straight of school because of tuition. We just couldn't do it.
Right.
So when I missed that 4 weeks, 5 weeks of school, it was during basketball season. So by the time I got back in school, Coach Kerr had already had his rotation set. Yeah. So I couldn't really fight in the preseason to, you know, get a spot in the rotation and stuff like that. And I just played out the rest of the year. And then my grandmother passed during the rest of that school year. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to keep missing school. My dad was like, we can't do this. So it's funny. My dad did not want me going to Jackson. At that time,
How was that?
At that time, Jackson was, like, the Daily News used to put out rankings of the worst schools in New York City. Mm-hmm. Jackson was the worst school in New York City.
Good Lord.
And Jackson was walking distance from my house, but my father was like, you're not going there. But a lot of my friends, Paul Ruddick, James Phillips, Jamel Jackson, they were there. Yeah. And we all hung out at each other's house. Mm-hmm. You know, so they were all tight with my dad. They just pulled up to the house one day. Paul and and Squeak, we called him, pulled up to the house, and they cornered my father like, "Yo, Bill's coming here." Like, so if they'd have left me by myself, I don't know where my pops would have sent me. Like what? But and he's like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna go there. Then once he enrolled me, I got that stern talk like, ain't nothing changed. You better not come in here acting different. So. Yeah. But it was good, man. Like I said, I went there. Coach Granby started me. He turned me loose. Mm-hmm. I had a really productive senior year. Averaged about 18 a game.
Nice. How far did y'all go as a unit?
Wow. Now you're getting me tight. So we it was quarterfinals? No. Second round, right? Second round, we beat Newtown in overtime. We weren't supposed to beat them. Mm-hmm. Went to the second round, and we're playing Walton. They had Kerry Thompson in them. Carlos Hines, Kerry Thompson, Monroe Pippins. So we're playing them at City College. We had them beat. we had them beat. Paul Ruddick and myself. We were cooking. Donald Spider, Spider.
I've heard the name.
Donald Harrison.
Yeah.
He was our big man, 6'7" on the team. Yo, we were cooking, and we were up 7 in the third quarter, and then we turned the ball over 4 straight times. We looked up. We was down, and that was all she wrote. Damn. And then it was all right. They was loaded. That team was loaded. Yeah. They went on to win the city that year, I believe.
What graduating class are you?
93.
93, I think so. Yeah.
I think they beat Lincoln that year in the city championship.
Got you. So how many like D1 and D2 dudes y'all had on y'all squad that your senior year, or dudes who went on to be or whatever have you?
Not many, man. Not many. Paul Ruddick was all city. I think he was supposed to go to LIU, and then Coach Haskins. That might have been the year that Coach Haskins stepped away. So he went to Dowling. I went to Stony Brook. Spider went to, I forgot what junior college Spider went to, but we had kids. We had local kids, man. We had kids from that St. Albans, Cambria Heights area.
Got you. Now you say you went to Stony. What were you thinking about college before choosing Stony? What were your college options like?
I had nothing going into my senior year. But I didn't deserve anything. Mm-hmm. I hadn't done anything on the varsity level. Freshman JV, nobody's paying attention to that.
Right.
The college coaches, I should say.
Right.
My junior year, was marked with, me missing 5 weeks of school and, my grandmother passing away. So I couldn't really get on the floor at that time. So my senior year, Coach Granby, like I said, Coach Granby, man, he, from the moment, it's funny, they had Big Apple games at Jackson. And, every day I was up at Big Apple games playing because it was a gym. You get free lunch, go get some eats, and you hoop out. And Coach Granby was like, son, where do you go to school? Right? 'Cause I'm in there. I'm destroying all the returning players. Yeah. He's like, wait. I said, I go to Holy Cross. No, you got to come to Jackson. So that's how he would talk. And I was like, I don't know if my dad gonna let me come. Long story short, after Quincy. And Squeak, we call him, after they went and spoke to my dad, he met with Granby, and that was enough to get me there. But like I said, when I got to Jackson, from day one, Coach Granby was just on the phone making calls to schools.
What level was Stony Brook back then?
At that time, they were transitioning from 3 to 2.
Okay, got you. So now, what are you thinking about, like preparing for college basketball and preparing for what that would be like? Did you have any clue what that would be like?
So again, I didn't. Sorry, that was Ty. I was a kid, man. Like, I was okay getting my 15 to 20. You know what I mean? I wasn't. I played. I went and played every day, but as far as working on my strengths to make them stronger and my weaknesses to make them stronger, that I wasn't doing that.
Got you.
I wasn't really working on my body. I was just like, I just knew what was in front of me at that time, and I didn't. My dad, is great, but my dad ran track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I didn't have like that person to get me to see what I need to do long term. Yeah.
Got you, man. Now that you say that, and obviously you have so much life experience now. And the game has changed to where almost everyone has someone like that in their corner. How important do you think that is. Having someone, whether it's a dad, whether it's an uncle, whether it's a whoever, that can like lay out that yellow brick road and say, hey, if you want to step on these bricks, go ahead.
I think it's important, man, because, and I think honestly that's what our youth are missing today. Like that neighborhood influence, you know what I mean? Like the OGs, as we want to call them, where, you know, they knew who we were. They knew what we were about. And if they saw us on the corner for too long, this ain't you, get off the corner and go home. And I think we're missing that today. You know, there's nobody telling these kids, yo, get off this corner and go home. This ain't you. Yo, you're an athlete. You need to be doing A, B, and C. You know what I mean? But I think it's key, man, whether it's male, female, family member, non-family member, to have that person who you respect enough to harp on their words. Most
definitely. Going into Stony, going into your freshman year of college, were you thinking to yourself, hey, I'm going to try to make this into a pro career? Or were you one of those guys going into college thinking, I'm going to college to then go into the workforce afterwards?
So again, don't laugh at me.
No problem, man.
I didn't see long term. I saw right in front of me. So a lot of my friends went to Division I level, and I knew I was hooping with them on certain levels, in some games, a lot of tournaments better than them. And I'm like, I'm going to D3 school? Oh, this is about to be light. Like, so my mind was, first and foremost, was I need this starting spot.
Yeah.
And I did start. I started, actually won Rookie of the Year in the conference.
Nice.
We were a 500 ball club though. But again, looking at it, I'm like, I didn't project long term of what I needed to do. So
to build on that Rookie of the Year.
Correct.
Got you.
And again, I didn't have, you know, like I said, I love my dad to death. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am. But I didn't. He ran track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he would tell me, Bill, do your push-ups. Bill, you know, he worked out. He worked sanitation, and he would go throw garbage, go to the gym, and then come home and work out again. So like, but I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm 15 to 20. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I hooped, you know, but you know, college is a business, and I learned that really quick after my freshman year, because I'm like, all right, I'm like,
if you got to answer, it's cool. We got it.
No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't him again. I'm like, yo, Rookie of the Year? My show for the next 3 years ain't got nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. What do we talk about, right? So, I played, like I said, I played ball in the summer, but I didn't work out. You know what I mean? So,
how many people did back then, though, in that era? Like, dudes really, the workout was to play. I mean, I heard that still people, I hear people say nowadays, like, yo, yeah, there was a few people still getting in the individual work back in the 80s and 90s as well. But it was few and far in between.
If you got in your work, it was on your own in the park. You know what I mean? There was nobody training you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just went out there, all right, my left hand is weak, I'm going to work on my left hand. All right, my jump shot is not good, I'm going to work on my jump shot. But there was nobody correcting form and technique and stuff like that. You just, and a lot of times, we just went out and hooped. You know, playing 21 with 50 guys on the floor, you're going to learn to handle the ball. You're going to learn to rebound. You're going to learn to shoot your float again because you're not getting to the basket.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're going to learn to change direction, stuff like that. That was really the working out. You know what I mean? But, like I said, I had Dwayne Woodward, I had Paul Ruddick, I had Shy Holloway. Those guys were putting in skill work on their own. Me, I might be in the house eating some cereal or something. Call me when the game start. You know, so, you know, that was that.
So now, moving along throughout your college career, you say you did basically ain't prepare after winning Rookie of the Year. So what was that second year now like? An
eye opener, because I came back and coach had recruited another freshman point guard, and he recruited a point guard from overseas in Israel. So I came
going over international back then, huh?
Yeah, Stony Brook, man. Stony Brook was. So what made me select Stony Brook was when I went on my visit. Stony Brook's campus is beautiful. Beautiful. And they had an arena before most schools had an arena. Like they totally revamped the arena, but the arena they're playing in now is what I played in, just not with all the updates. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm looking like, I walked in, I'm like, this is crazy. Where do I sign? So I went there. It's funny. I didn't take my other visits. So coach had Oklahoma City lined up, which is an NAIA school. I'm like, I'm not going to Oklahoma. You ain't gonna get me.
Yeah.
And what was the other school? Pace.
Okay.
Pace. Yeah.
So now when your college coach brings in these 2 PGs your sophomore season, and you said it was a wake up call. Why do you say that? Like, was your playing time a little bit more diminished, or?
So I didn't even play my sophomore year. So when I came back, I was with the first group to get into practice. Then, coach started mixing and matching me with the other freshman, who was Larry Gibson. And actually, I'm sorry, it was 2 freshman point guards and another transfer from Israel. So we're mixing and matching. And I'm like, no, we not about to do this. That's my mindset. Like, nah, I'm rookie of the year. We not about to do this. We did that. we did that. So, me being full of myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. So I didn't play my sophomore year.
I ended up going.
No, I just went to school.
Oh, okay.
I finished out the year there. I went to school. Then I transferred to York College back home. Because at that point in time, I'm like, you know what, man? Basketball is fun, but what we gonna do after basketball?
Yeah,
that's where I was at with it.
Thinking about that.
Yeah, that's where I was at with it. Now I'm like, you know what? And at that time, York was a nationally ranked Division III program. Coach St. John, man, it's funny how things, as I talk about it, things tie in, right? Coach St. John and my dad were really cool. So when I'm talking to my dad about, what we're gonna do and the options, and he's like, well, how serious it is for you? Like, what are you trying to do with this? I said, at this point in time, I just want to have some fun. I want to get an education, get my degree, and I'll figure it out after that. So then I went. We met with Coach St. John, and I went to York, and it's funny because we had played York my freshman year at Stony Brook. And I suffered a concussion. They had a big guy named 6'8", like 380 pounds.
Good Lord.
And I got hit with a blind screen.
I be telling people, man, them blind screens will knock you out, man.
Well, yeah, it put me out. But I was playing well before that. I was playing well before that. So Coach St. John had removed me from that game. He was tight with my dad. He was like, just come here, man. Let's get this done. We're nationally ranked. We make the D3 NCAA tournament. And let's go from there.
And how was that transition over to York now, playing for Coach St. John?
It was actually, you know what? It was actually easier than Stony Brook because I like to play fast. Like, if you watch me coach, like I'm pressing, I'm trapping, and we're running. That's how I wanted to play, and that's how York played. So York's style, while we were back home, York's style was more conducive for my game than Stony Brook.
Gotcha.
I mean, we pressed all game, every game. We trapped the whole game, every game. Like, and we were trying to score within the first 10 to 12 seconds of the shot clock.
Good Lord. So was Coach letting you rock out from your first moment there?
Yes and no. So they had a point guard, Nathan Reeves, one of my closest friends to this day. And they were coming off an NCAA bid the year before. So he was there. I actually was the 6th man, which I was cool with because I played starters minutes. Let me not say I was cool with it. Every kid wants to start. But I was playing. And my dad actually got mad at Saint because when I transferred there, I was putting it out. Like, I put in work. Like, and if it was a level playing field, then you would say I should have been starting, which, I mean, whatever. My dad had that conversation. Didn't start, but played a lot. We were nationally ranked. We traveled. I had fun, man. I met a lot of lifelong friends there. Derek Dalton, Nate Reeves, all those guys.
Beautiful.
We went to the NCAA tournament. I think we won CUNY. We went to the CUNY championship every year. I was at York. Lost my sophomore year, won my junior year, and then lost to Hunter College, who had at that time George Brown transferred there, Troy Battle transferred there. So Hunter had actually had like 3 or 4 kids that played Division I basketball transfer to Hunter.
And did y'all go? How many years? I know you played 3 years at York. How many years of those 3 did you go to the tournament?
2 out of the 3, and then my last year we should have went to the tournament. I don't know how we didn't. And we went to the ECAC tournament, which is like the equivalent of NIT. And we won the championship in the ECAC.
Nice. How was that feeling like and whatnot? I mean,
yo, Gooch, you killing me with these memories, man. You bringing so it's bittersweet, really bittersweet, right? So we were down 14 in the championship game. I scored 17 in a row.
Okay, Bill.
Like I literally scored 17 in a row. Like nobody else. Like I literally went on a 17-0 run by myself, and I laid the big fella. They had this big kid. I don't remember how big. I laid the big fella. You know, me being me, and I'm talking hot to him. Like I'm talking hot. Like I'm on a roll. I'm talking hot to him, and then next play came down in transition. Beat their point guard again, and I looked. And I seen him barreling down and kill me. Like, he was going to lay me out, flagrant foul, New York Knicks. Like, yeah. So I jump stopped. And when I jump stopped, my knee went. And that's when I tore my ACL.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Ooh, sorry about that one.
I tell my college coach all the time, I'm like, Coach, I ain't going to hold you. You be one championship left if I get my ACL. Yeah.
So how y'all ended up pulling that through? Because you the hot man. So who pulled it through now the rest of the way for y'all to at least? We
actually won. We actually won. Our 6'9" kid Johnny Nicholson finished off the game for us. So.
Got you, man. So now wrapping it up. Now you wrap up your college tenure. What direction are you thinking about taking your life in now?
So. When you talk about my childhood influences and guys in the community, Chuck Vance, you know, Crazy Chucky. Mm-hmm. He was really active in Econo Park. He still is. He was active in St. Pascal / PAL Foster Laurie Center. Chuck came to my house first to check on me, make sure I was okay. Then it was phone call after phone call, visit after visit. Come coach this team. I'm like, I'm not coaching. I'm like, I've never thought about coaching. I don't have no desire to coach. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with this leg to get back.
So the proposition was made to you like right out of college, or
I was
still in college.
I was still in college, but I had just had my surgery. Okay. So Chuck just kept coming to me. You're gonna coach. You're gonna coach. You're gonna coach. He's like, I've seen it since you was a kid. You're gonna coach. You're gonna coach. I said, Chuck, I don't want to coach. I don't want to coach somebody. I'm still a kid myself. I'm 22 years old.
Right.
23 maybe. But I'm like, I don't want to coach. But Chuck was relentless, so I couldn't play. I mean, at that time, ACL recovery was 11 months before you could even walk or run. These kids returning now in 4 or 5 months. So I'm like, all right, I love the game. So I'm like, you know what? I can't play. Let me give back. And I had I've been blessed, honestly. Like, the team that Chucky gave me was talented, man. Talented. All kids from my neighborhood. Talented. I had Dwayne Doob Johnson, who played at Cardoza, started for 4 years. Was on their team that lost to Sebastian Telfair in the Garden that senior year. Victor Morris was his backcourt partner, who's the all-time leading scorer at Cardoza. John Forbes, who went to Cardoza. Like,
this is your first team.
This is my first team.
Yeah.
Dave Anderson, who played at Jamaica High School and led them in scoring as a senior. Carlos, I think Carlos' last name. He went to at that time Andrew Jackson had changed the name to Campus Magnet.
Yeah. How old are these crop of kids?
8th grade.
Okay.
So 8th grade.
8th grade squad.
8th grade. At that time, Vic was actually in 7th grade playing up. But we're traveling around CYO and we're slapping everybody. I'm talking about like it's not even close.
Yeah.
So all I did was take what I watching basketball, take how we played at York. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this here.
Yeah.
So now I'm having fun. I'm like, all right, I can deal with this winning. This is cool. I got talent. We slapping people. So then Chuck was coaching with Gary Charles at the Panthers as well. So he's like, you want to take them on the road? On the road? Like, what's the road? Like I wasn't familiar with it. Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't even thinking about coaching it. He's like, this is what you got to do. So we went under the name Bi-State Pythons. Chuck had a 501c. We were under that name. He's like, take these kids on the road, show Gary Charles what they can do and what you can do as a coach. That way, at some point in time, he's going to want to come calling because the Panthers practiced out of St. Pascal / our PAL center.
Got you.
So we would practice before. Chuck always made sure we practiced before them so he could see what I was doing as a coach. And see what kind of talent we had. And like I said, we were slapping everybody. We were going on the road. The only team we couldn't beat, and I tell you no lie, they from 8th grade, 9th grade, to 10th grade was that Gaucho team that had Yada, Russ, and Ronald Ramon. Man, well, I think who was the coach? Mark was the coach at that time. I had many sleepless nights. I'm a sore loser.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do we beat these guys? Like we were literally beating everybody else, but that was our one team we couldn't beat. And then as we progressed, I started picking up more players. I got Kaheem Seawright from Uniondale, who 6'7" forward, went to Rhode Island. Added Antonio Pena, played in Lincoln, went to Villanova.
Yep.
Got Danny Green. So now I'm like, yeah, let's get this. So we finally beat them, and at that time, AAU Nationals was huge.
Yeah.
So we finally beat them in the Metropolitan Championship at Island Garden. And then from there, I mean, the rest is history. I'm here where I am now.
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot. So I mean, you started off. So your first coaching gig, you was a head coach right out the gate. It wasn't assistant at. Let me not say at all, but you didn't assist out the gate.
So AAU CYO wise, no. And it's funny, I skipped over an important part of my coaching career. That team I had, we were in ISA championship. I had another young man named Devon Brown who was going to St. Mary's in Manhasset. At that time, Coach Kloos was the head coach at St. Mary's.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to me, he was sitting in the stands of the championship game. So he's watching my style of play, my style of coaching, how I'm interacting with the kids, the things that I'm asking and demanding of them. We won the championship, and he came up to me. He's like, would you be interested in coaching at St. Mary's? I'm like, what's St. Mary's?
Right.
I'm like, what's St. Mary's? Never heard of St. Mary's. Went out there, we met, we spoke. I watched it. I'm like, I can do this because his philosophy, his style of play, the way he taught, the things that he demanded, just happened to coincide with what I was already doing. So I'm like, it's an easy transition. So my first year out there, I was an assistant on the freshman level, but when I do something, I'm all in. So I was an assistant on the freshman level, but I sat on the JV bench as well. I sat on the varsity bench. So every triple header,
you just getting your reps in.
I was because I needed to learn.
Right.
Like I wasn't. If I'm going to do this, I want to win. I'm not going to be content with just doing it, and I'm not going to be content with just doing it, subpar.
Right.
So I wanted to be. I was a sponge. I wanted to soak up as much information as I could. And that's where it really began to take off for me.
What were some of the duties and the job description that entails being an assistant back then in that era when you joined the staff at St. Mary's?
So, Coach Kloos, I don't know if you ever met Coach Kloos?
No, I haven't. I know a bunch of people that have.
I love Coach Granby, not taking anything away from him, but Coach Kloos is the greatest basketball mind I've ever worked for or been around. Like, to this day, I will call him, send him footage. I've taken time of him when he was at Iona, to break down his game and look at his shot and stuff like that. When you talk about somebody who took nothing and made them into something, like St. Mary's was unknown before he got the job, right? Then they were a Long Island power. Then they became a national power. And he took that he the man is won at a high level everywhere he's going. Everywhere. So I just soaked up all the knowledge. I was trying to be involved. So what I did, I could handle the basketball. I always said I could handle the basketball. So he gave me the guards. He's like, I want you to get these guys ball handling better. So that's what I did at first. Once I did that, he saw my basketball mind. That next year, I became the head freshman coach. And what I did was, you know, we had a really again, I've been blessed. We had a really talented team. I knew we would win Long Island easy, but I kind of made like a double schedule. So we played every City Catholic team. Every non-league game, we played every city, and that year we went undefeated.
Tough.
So when he saw that, you know, I could coach and, you know, things of that nature, you know, he began to trust me more. He went, you know, so I went from sitting on the varsity bench doing stats to now he's coming to me mid-game, mid-practice, and he's asking me, Billy, what do you see? What do you think? What about this sub? What about this play, this defense? And, you know, I just went with it. So I was with Coach Klus out there for 8 years, I believe. You know, then administration kind of wasn't on board with the way we needed them to be on board anymore. I knew that we would eventually all end up leaving, which was sad because I left the year they became number one in the country with Danny Green in them senior year.
Was that 05? I think Danny was 05 class or 06 class.
Okay, well, whatever. They're number one in USA Today. That was my first year being an assistant at Holy Cross. But I still was involved with those guys. You know, I still talked to them. I coached them all AAU. And, you know, I mean,
like... Are you still coaching with the Panthers every summer?
Yeah, at that time I'm with the Panthers. Sorry, I skipped over that. So Gary Charles told me with the young kids, saw what we were doing. We started building.
Yeah, whatever came of that. Once Gary didn't see how you was rocking with your young...
I became a 16 and under coach.
Okay.
I was a 16 and under coach for 4 or 5 years. And again, at that time, you know, nationals was the big thing. So we actually went to Indiana as Danny and Tony and those guys were sophomores. We went to Indiana, lost in the Final Four to the Atlanta Celtics. Who did they have? They had what's my man name? Lou Will. Lou Will.
He was 05 class.
Lou Will. They had another guard. Man.
I don't know who else they had back in 05.
It was another guard that was tough with him.
Okay.
So we lost to them. And then that following year, Gary asked me if I wanted to do the 17s. So I did the 17s for a couple of years.
As the head?
As the head coach.
Tough.
I did the 17s for a couple of years. Then I, Mr. Cox, Wayne Cox, Marcus Cox was on one of my teams. Tony Bergeron was the head coach at Wings. He left and went to American Christian. So I always told Cox, like, yo, give me a chance at the job. Like, not really thinking he was taking me serious.
Right.
So when Tony Bergeron left, he called me like, yo, what do you want to do? He brought me in for an interview. I interviewed with Bingo. The end of that summer, I was over the job.
Just at Wings Academy.
Yep.
I'm talking about.
Yep. But during that,
at Wings prior to you getting the head job?
No. So in between St. Mary's and Wings, I was an assistant at Holy Cross for 2 years.
Cross for 2.
Yeah.
Got you. All right. So you just went from being an assistant at Holy to getting a head coaching job at
Wings. Yep.
Got you. And this would be your first high school head coaching job as far as coaching a scholastic.
A varsity team, yeah.
Got you. Now, what are you thinking going into this now? This is your head coach now. You on the scholastic side, and Wings was a powerhouse program when Tony left it. So what are you thinking about how to keep it going and I guess you could say carry the torch?
My whole thing was don't make Mr. Cox look bad. I was aware of Wings' pedigree. They were 31-0, nationally ranked the year before. They had one loss coming to Grady in the Final Four. I knew what Lance Tejada had did before Bergeron because we played Wings at St. Mary's. With they had Garfield Johns and what's the big kid? Elton. I forget Elton's last name.
4 months, huh?
Ra might have been a freshman on that team. Yep. So we played them at St. Mary's. So I knew about Wings, you know, and like I said, I'm a basketball junkie. So at that time, it wasn't the internet, it was the paper.
Right.
You know, so we're reading the paper and stuff like that. And my thing was, Mr. Cox had faith in me to take over this powerhouse of a program, don't let him down. It wasn't about me. It was don't let him down because he gave me my shot. I was fortunate that first year because I had Jamie Harris, Kadani Brutus, B.J. Warrington, Dave Williams, Jabbar Ford.
This is their senior year?
This is their senior year.
Got you.
So it's not like I walked into the cupboard bare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so again, here I am being blessed, and I'm walking into some real talent.
Yeah.
I came in with my beliefs and ideals, and I'm like, all right. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. So, in an adjustment period, I think we won 20 games that year. We lost our first game to the High. And at that time, the PSAL used to have a tip-off classic. We lost to the High. And then we lost our last game to the High in the Final Four. I learned really quickly how much of a bad boy Jamie Harris was.
Well, can I ask you this? Was there any immediate differences that you noticed being that you coached in the Catholic, whether it was Catholic in Long Island and Catholic in the city years prior, and now you're coaching public, so you're seeing public schools every night as opposed to seeing Catholic schools every night? Was there any differences or contrasting styles immediately that were evident to you?
Absolutely. So, me, young coach coming in, I have my beliefs. Like, okay, we're going to do it this way. So I came in, Burgess' style was fly up and down the floor and shoot threes. That wasn't my style, right? So at first, Kadani struggled with what I was trying to implement. So I had to figure out, like, this kid was getting 50 off the bench. Like,
right.
Like I had to figure it out because I'm not trying to derail him as an individual, his senior year. Like, he's still got to be able to eat as well as the team got to win. So it took me a couple of games. I met with Bingo. Bingo was great for me in terms of my transition. And he's like, Coach, we don't need to run so many plays. And I thought about it. He's like, and then when we do, he said, we got Jamie Harris. Put him in a ball screen and let's just rock. So, at first I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. Then I realized we got Jamie Harris. We gonna do that. So, open up the floor. We were still structured, not as structured. There was no need.
Yeah.
There was no need because we had some of the top tier talent, and not only in the Bronx but in the PSAL. So that's where I kind of transitioned as a coach somewhat. Whereas, let your players play.
Right.
Have your structure, have your balance, have your principles, but allow your players to play.
Right. So now you say Jamie Harris is a bad boy. So I'm pretty sure as a coach you've seen him put on some pretty miraculous performances. So what's some or at least one that really come to your mind as a coach, especially you being a head coach? So like you said, you're trying to really put on. You ain't trying to embarrass Mr. Cox. So what's some of these performances that Harris put on for you or in Wings at that time? So
there's 3 games he had a phenomenal senior year. Jamie Harris was an incredible player. There's 3 games that stood out for me, right? We were playing Urban Peace?
Urban Peace.
They had
some dude, he was wilding.
Paul Scotland.
Yeah.
They had Paul Scotland, right?
JUCO dude went to Bethune.
We're playing them at Urban Peace. And I got my press break and whatever. They scouted us, they wear everything. And we're down like 14, 16 points. We had no business being down. Energy on the team was bad. Like, players were lethargic. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So we go into halftime. I lose my shit. Excuse my language. Bingo stops me from going back out. He's like, Coach, you got to ease up and just let them play. He's like, put the ball in Jamie's hands and tell everybody else to move. So Bingo had this thing. He was like, he would do this to Jamie, and I never knew what it was. This was his sign for calling Jamie Harris, bring your game. Like, it's time for you to take over. So I'm like, what the hell? So that game, press break went out the window for the rest of the year. Our press break became that year, inbound the ball to Jamie Harris, everybody else go get in a scoring situation. It didn't matter who we played, where we played them, that was the press break. I kid you not. I kid you, and he would single-handedly break pressure by himself.
So that was one of them games where he came out. What's another one of them games?
Wiley at Wiley. You know, Jamie from Harlem.
Right.
At that time, Wiley had Jiggy Josh.
Jiggy Josh.
All of Harlem was in there. I'm talking about wilding. Here I am, first year coach. I'm like, all right, I'm coming from Catholic. Wait, this is a different type environment. So I'm looking. They going at us. God bless his soul. Crump was still coaching at that time.
Right.
That's my guy. We used to have battles. And it's funny because I forget the website at that time. Crump had posted something about we about to clip some wings or barbecue wings. So I printed it out. I printed it out, right? And I kept it in my pocket. Jamie takes over. He's torching them. Because Josh was torching us at first. Torching us. The game might still be on YouTube, to be honest with you. Jamie just takes over. End of the game, I put the paper in my hand. As we shake hands, I shake hands with Crump and give him that with the paper. And it's funny because you know what? Crump is a great dude, man. That was the beginning of our friendship, our relationship. You know what I mean? Like, he respected that. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't want to, there's a lot of dudes would have wanted to fight. You know what I mean? Whatever. At that time, I was, a lot younger and dumber. I'm like, whatever's gonna happen, But you're not gonna talk this, and you gonna. So then that was the beginning of our relationship. But that was another game, and then the Final Four game at St. John's.
Who y'all matched up?
I'm sorry. Before that, Christ the King. Just when Jamie got mad at me. Nike had the Super 6.
That was a mean joint.
All week long, I'm figuring out who's going to handle the basketball besides Jamie. They had Malik Booth. Malik Booth was like a one-man destroyer defensively, right? I knew how bad of a boy Jamie Harris was, but my whole week and Jamie's energy was off that week. Like, he never said it until he came back years later. I saw he like, yo, coach, I felt a way about the way we practiced that week. So we told him, he's like, yo, you didn't think I could get the ball up against Malik Booth? My bad, Jamie. my bad. I'm never above apologizing. You know what I mean? Like, my bad. I disrespected you. I'm sorry. And I laughed because one day we were at ISA. It was packed. Malik was in there and Jamie. This was years later, right? So we told you start talking, you telling the story, and then Jamie was like, "Yo, Malik, Coach was trying to get somebody else to bring up the basketball besides me." So I'm looking right. Anyway, long story short, speeding up because we'll be here all night.
Yeah.
Jamie went off.
Didn't struggle with that ball pressure at all.
That is the only. I kid you not. I will mess with Malik Booth to this day. Malik, I love you to death. I will mess with Malik Booth to this day. That's the only person I can recall ever seeing Malik not being in the guard. And then the Final Four game, we played the high again. We wanted that. I mean, we was on one. They popped us. I was like, they popped us the first time. That was my first game as a varsity coach. We gonna get this. He put on. We were actually down 2 or 1. We got a steal, outlet to Jamie, and it was 2-on-1. And Kadani kind of fake shielded the defender, and the referee called the offensive foul.
Wow, man.
So I think we ended up losing that game by 3-4.
That's allowed in today's game now. Damn.
Yeah.
So now, as you ingratiating yourself into the Bronx, into PSAL, what did you think of the JFK and Wings rivalry? Or was it a rivalry when you first got the job, or did it develop into being a rivalry?
Let me tell you something. Like I said, I was a new coach. I never coached at the PSAL, let alone the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't aware of that Wings JFK rivalry. What's my guy passed away? He used to do the videos back in the day, the DVDs, and he would sell them to you. You always be at ISA.
Damn, man. I know what you're talking about, man.
So he was tight with Mr. Cox. So all the Wings games, we would get videos, recorded, stuff like that. Matter of fact, I still got those DVDs at home. I think transfer them.
Classic joints.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm watching the Borough Championship the year before. Kennedy had Dwight Hardy.
'06.
And Wings was with Spivey and Tarver and those guys. And Dwight Hardy went to the basket. And Spivey looked like a WWE match. Spive just took him out. So I'm like, yo, what we doing here? But I mean, it was intense, you know. And honestly, you know, Coach Mathis made me take my coaching to another level. Like,
God bless.
Right, for sure. Cause I couldn't figure out that 1-1-3. I for years I could not figure out that 1-1-3. Like that matchup zone had me flustered. I actually had to call Burge because I didn't know what it was. I'm like, Burge, what is he playing?
That's
like,
real. That's real.
Like, I'm like, yo, what is he playing?
Yeah.
And when Burge told me, and then I went to the film, I'm like, oh, I got this. So once I figured that out, that's when we went on that run of, what was it, 9 years, where we didn't lose a game in league at all.
That's tough, man. How tough is or was Bronx PSAL AA basketball, especially when you came in the late 2000s? How tough was it?
Super tough, simply because even the less talented kids had heart. They were going to compete. They wasn't just going to lay down, oh, this is wing. Nah. They might be 0-12, but they trying to get that 20 ball against Wings because they're going to keep that clipping that come out. You know what I mean? There's other coaches, you know, in the league. You know, at that time, Lehman was good. I think my first year, Clinton was AA. Kennedy, of course. Monroe. Gompers, Truman. You know, it was tough. It was tough. But like I said, I was fortunate, man. Wings had that name. We had that pedigree. And then when people saw that I was able to coach and Wings wasn't going to fall off because Burge left, you know, we continued to get talent.
Right.
We continued to get an influx of talent, transfers, 8th graders. Like we really continue to do that and build that thing.
For sure. Something that I've always noticed throughout the years was the importance of junior varsity basketball at Wings Academy while you were at the helm there. Can you speak on that? Can you speak on what the importance of JV basketball to you and to the programs that you've been the head of, and why is it even important? So
Wings didn't have JV when I got there. They Burge didn't. I don't know if Burge didn't believe it. I know Mr. Cox didn't believe in it. His thing was, if you can play, you're going to varsity. My thing was, you can be talented, but if you go to varsity and you don't play, like that's wasting development. So for me, I believe you have to be on the court to develop. So Sal, who was my assistant coach from day one, was a teacher in the school. Still a teacher. He's the dean now, and the head coach once I left. I went to Cox. I'm like, yo, we need a JV. That's 15 more kids we can look at potentially to help build our program. I said at that time Donald Douglas was in charge of PSAL. He went to Donald. We got a JV, and I mean the rest is history. We've had a lot of success with my JV program.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, it's funny. Justin Jenkins played JV.
Yeah.
DeJour Bowie played JV.
Yup.
Deontay Houston played JV. Ian Vasquez played JV before he came to me and then transferred to Lincoln.
Jose Perez, Will Martinez.
Sheesh. I mean, a bunch of guys.
We had at least double-digit Division I dudes play JV.
Absolutely.
In your building.
Absolutely.
Now, why was JV so important to you? I mean, I know you said guys need to develop, get reps. Were there any other reasons why JV why you were so adamant about it?
It allowed us to get more talent in the building. So with one team, we only have 15 uniforms. JV now is 15 more uniforms. So now instead of 15 kids, we've doubled our work. You know what I mean? So that was an avenue that we didn't have that we started that allowed us to get more talent in the building.
Got you. Now some of your detractors would love to mention some of your struggles in the early 2010s, getting a lot of Final Fours and not advancing beyond the Final Four. During those times when Wings was basically making it to Final Four after Final Four after Final Four, when you look back on it, why do you think it was that you guys were basically running up to the Final Four and being stopped from your point of view with hindsight?
So first, let me take. I will always take full ownership of our failures as well as some of our successes. I always try to get the players to understand that as well. Like, when we win, y'all can take that. When we lose, let me take that. I'll deal with that. And if you ever see any article I've ever spoke about, that's what I've always said.
That's no doubt about it.
I think with us, it got to a point, honestly, where we became so dominant in the Bronx that we weren't in dogfights, right? So you can scrimmage somebody, you can go out of state and play non-league games, but if you're not being tested in the league every night, like, it's tough because you can get away. As much as I try to harp on the faults and make sure we're sharp, like, it's tough because we played a 2-3 zone and we beat Lehman by 100 twice that 2015 year. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to keep the kids focused mentally and be able to develop and stay sharp physically. So now, come Borough time, you know, we gotta try to stay sharp. Then come city playoffs, we're trying to get back our sharpness during that time. So now we had enough talent to get to those Final Four games, but mentally and physically we weren't tested every night. Whereas Brooklyn AA, they were in a war every single night.
Yes, sir.
If you look at the teams that we lost to over those years, every team won the city title.
City title, right. How many times was it that you guys lost to boys and girls during that time?
So the High won 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
3 years in a row we lost to the High.
Wow.
In the Final Four.
So talk to us about that three-peat, watching it outside looking in, and Coach Ruth Lovelace,
Respected
especially
Ruth.
at that time, man. Talk to us about that and how strong of a program boys and girls was at that time.
They were loaded. Don't get me anything. Don't get it twisted. That was really a rivalry. I hated the High. You know, Mr. Cox. It's funny, right? Mr. Cox graduated from the High.
Right. They used to always say that on TV.
Right. So, you know, rightfully so, the High has this arrogance to them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you know, they come in with their chants, do die, best die. Although, like, and, you know, I'm a competitor. I'm like, we not doing this. This is not about to go down again, right? So, like I said, they were in wars every night. And I really think our shortcomings was we weren't in wars every night. They had super talent. Not to take nothing away from them. They had so much talent. Mike Taylor, Jeff Neverson, Antoine Slaughter, Leroy Eisler. You're right. Like, they had talent. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and say they were better than us just because they beat us. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? We had just as much talent.
Y'all did.
And we would just fall short, man. One year they smoked us. I'm not even going to hold you. We was down 30 at the half. Okay? I'm not even going to hold you. We was down. That was the year we beat Lincoln in the quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. And my guys celebrated. And I was mad. If you ever go back and you see that video, you'll see me actually on the court telling them, get off the court. They said, we ain't did nothing. Get off the court. We celebrated like we won the city. Mm-hmm. And we were done. I knew we were done.
What year was this? Was this the year Lincoln, like Shaq Stokes and them?
Yes, that was Shaq Stokes. We beat Shaq Stokes in the quarterfinals at St. John's. Because at that time, the quarters and the semis were at St. John's. And I'm like, it was funny because, you know, Deontay played with Shaq on Metro Hawks and stuff like that. So
and Shaq was like the dude growing up
and
everything. They're
going back and forth on the internet and like it's like a war of words. So I understood the energy, but I was trying to get them to understand it's only the quarterfinals.
Right.
We still got to turn around and play the number 1 seed in the city. But that week of practice was tough because at that time it was quarterfinals and semifinals was a week in between. It was tough because as much as I tried to get them to refocus, it was hard. We still reporters are calling and still interviewing kids about us beating Lincoln because Lincoln was tiny. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So we came out, man, and they blitzed us. And Sal will tell you, and to this day, you know, we hated Jeff Neverson's out there doing this, flapping on the it was brutal because, I mean, they smoked us. Yeah. Like, we were down 30, I think 32 at the half. What do you say to your team? I walk in there, the team walking there, everybody quiet. I don't even remember what I said. I just had to make something up. Like I'm just like, wow. But other than that year, there were things that I could have definitely done better as a coach. Mm-hmm. Time management wise, substitution wise.
Do you feel like those losses to boys, all those consecutive years, made you into a better coach? And
Absolutely. But it wasn't just them. We lose to Lincoln in the Final Four. They go on to win the city. Like it was rough, man. I'm not, you know. The one thing I do regret is only getting out of the Final Four once, 2015. Now we got out and we won everything.
Got it all, yeah.
But I feel like as a program, we probably should have had 4 to 6 city championships.
It's tough though, man. It's tough, man.
Nah, Gooch, it is tough, but we were loaded, Gooch.
Yeah, y'all were. But winning is, and which we gonna talk about because you guys did win it all in 2015, man. But winning is hard, man, and we gonna talk about that. So I mean, coming in, yes, y'all 2015, y'all were the favorite, but just because you're the favorite don't mean it's gonna be a clean sweep.
So that's the only year we were the favorite.
Right.
We were never favored before.
Ever. Now, can you talk about how hard that is, being the favorite, and
wasn't
how
hard.
It is to keep kids focused? Wasn't
hard. Let me tell you that was a special group, and I'll tell everybody that wasn't my most talented team.
No.
Deontay Houston's junior year, I had 11 scholarship kids. Like legitimate scholarship kids. That was my most talented team. 2015 was my most determined and cohesive team. And what made 2015 so dangerous was our shortcomings in 2014. We lost to Brooklyn Collegiate at Hunter College in the quarterfinals that year. We had no business losing that year.
Right.
No business. From that loss, I didn't have to coach them in 2015. They coached themselves. They knew the plan. They knew the goal. And we just steamrolled everybody. We never
felt like your dudes were losing focus, losing sight on what it was for the season. Nothing.
That was a special group, man. And I'm gonna tell you, people will. You know, when you look at the 2015 team, the first two names you're going to mention is Govan and Bowie.
Yeah.
But when you talk to anybody on that team, we don't win without Randy Corcoran. DeJour and Jesse will tell you that themselves. We don't win in 2015 without Randy Corcoran.
And what was special about Randy during that year that helped you guys leave with the silver?
You see how hard Randy played on both ends of the floor? Yes. He didn't accept anybody else giving anything less. He called you on it, whether it was DeJour, Jesse, Jose Perez, or Poppy, who was the 15th man on the team. Mm-hmm. If you didn't bring it every single day in practice and every single game, he wasn't having it.
Accountability.
And they were determined. They were determined. They were like, we're not losing. We shouldn't have lost last year. We're not losing this year.
Got you. So you guys end up doing your thing, man. Basically dealing with everybody in the city, just vehemently. You end up winning the city chip by 4 over Cardozo. How tough of a game was that?
That game wasn't tough. So that year we had one loss in the state of New York. Mm-hmm. We lost to Cardozo in the SNY championship. And again, I'm gonna take that on me, right? So high school rules: 3 fulls, 2 30s. TV game, national, when it's live television, you get the TV timeouts, but you only get 4 30s. So I thought I had one timeout because I normally hold a full and a 30, right? So So I knew I had a 30 left. I'm like, all right, cool. I thought I had a 30 left.
Right.
And I called it, and we got a tech. And we ended up losing to Cardozo and the SNY. But Cardozo also did something that forced my hand. But before that, you see me after, and SNY kind of got mad at me because I was so focused on taking blame for that loss, and I felt bad for my guys because it wasn't their fault. You'll see me during live television that they're presenting. They, at that time, they made us stand. They made us stand there while Cardozo got the award. They made both teams. I'm like,
I remember that joint.
I'm fuming.
Yeah.
Like I'm fuming. And when they come back to live TV, you see my back to the camera, and I'm talking to my team, and my exact words to them was, "I apologize. This one's on me. We're not losing to nobody for the rest of the year." So you see the camerawoman, she's tapping my shoulder, and I'm like shrugging her off because my guys are distraught. Right. But I turned around, and so that Cardozo's defense that day made me put Jose Perez in the starting lineup because I was starting RJ, and they had Ray Salnave guarding RJ, but Ray Salnave stood in the paint the whole time. I said, all right, you know what? And I'm going to put another offensive player in the game. What you going to do now? And from that moment on, it was over.
Got you. So you mentioned that Cardozo's defensive scheme made you want to add Jose Perez to the starting lineup. What did Jose Perez bring to you during that 2015 season or displayed that made you say, you know what, I think this dude would be an asset in the starting lineup?
So up until Cardozo, I was like, we have enough offense on the floor to make this work. Then the way Ron designed his defense, kudos to him, when I went back and I watched the film, I'm like, yo, Salnave is not guarding anybody. He's literally standing in the paint to double Jesse. So I know I needed another offensive option, especially somebody that could space the floor at that 4 spot. Perez could shoot, Perez could handle. He had range out to the 3. He could pass the basketball, high IQ kid, intense. And I put him in the lineup, and I knew that they weren't going to beat us. Even though the score was close in the Garden, they weren't going to beat us. They blitzed us early on. If you look at the documentary, you'll see I think we're down like 12-2 or 10-2. I took a quick timeout. It's the first time I ever wore a suit to coach. And I forgot my bag because I'm superstitious. I'm very superstitious. I'm like, yo, if we're losing early on, I'm coming out of this suit.
Right.
And I'm going right back into my sweats.
Yeah.
But I forgot my bag at home. But you'll see, tie was down, top button was off. I flung the suit jacket somewhere, brand new suit jacket. Like, I'm like, nah, we not about to do this.
Yeah, we not doing this.
So, if you look at the documentary, all you hear is beep, 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 beep. But yeah, man. So we went on a win. Cardozo was good, man, but I never thought we'd lose. Even when we were down early on, I never thought we were going to lose that game.
I got you, man. I got you. So now you go ahead, you win the city title. Let's face it, man. You hear the chatter. You a dude. You hear people talk. You just said about your stunt with Crump. So now with all the people talking all this wings, losing the Final Four, this, that, and the third, Final Four specialists. I've even heard that kind of terminology. How did it feel to finally get over that hump? And what you had to say to your detractors, your folks that was saying, man, I don't know if they're gonna do it. They probably gonna flop again.
You know what's wild? Well, for me, if you look at the film, I broke down in tears. Like, it was that strong for me.
As you should.
But I'll say this to the detractors. You knocking us for getting to the Final Four and you never been there.
That is a fact. And it's very hard to even get there.
You knocking us for getting to the Final Four and not getting past, but you're not even getting to the Final Four of the Borough playoffs. Talk to me about it. Come on, man. We're not going to do that. we're not going to do that. Like that, we not going to do it.
Talk about it, Bill. All right, I'll just leave it at that, man. So now what's your focus now preparing for the state federations?
It was weird, right? We never once spoke about states. I know definitely public school wise, most teams in the city, their focus is the city championship.
Correct.
At that time it was at the Garden. Now it goes back and forth between the Garden and Barclays, but it was like, all right, your goals was get to the Johnnies, as we called it. That was the quarters and the semifinals, and to get to the Garden. You know, it wasn't until after we won the city, not even after, because we was in party mode. Like we celebrated. Ty Grant paid for the bill. We went out to a restaurant after. Like we settled. So you know, I gave him like the next 2-3 days off. School was going crazy. Cox was like, you know, Cox was a straight academic person. We had like no classes for 5 periods. So it was like, you know, the first city title, not the first AA city title in Wayne's history. We finally got over that hump. It wasn't, I kid you not, it wasn't till we got up to the hotel and we had our team meeting, and it just so happened I had my TV on in my room. I brought the team in my room, and we were up at Albany, University of Albany. Shenandoah Hoa was the #1 team in the state at that time.
Right, Herder.
They had Herder, right? And the TV comes on, and I think they said something like the Shenandoah Hoa Invitational. Randy looked at me, BT, we about to kill him. That was his exact words. And I'm like, so now my mindset shit, I was still on city championship mode. I wasn't worried about the state.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? We here. Gary Charles would say it all the time. We here. Let's get it. That was a war, man. That Shenandoah Hoa team was really good.
I heard.
They had 2 6'6" kids, man, football players. And when I tell you we were in foreign territory, like the University of Albany, Shenandoah Hoa's colors is green and white. If it held 5,000 people, it was 4,850 Shenandoah Hoa fans, face painted green, green everything, going crazy.
They go hard upstate for they
Let me tell you something.
People don't realize that.
Those 2 big kids beat Govan up. I'm talking about, like, I almost got ejected because I'm like, yo, this is borderline like dirty. Yeah. Like they're throwing bowls to his back, like kneeing him in the back in his hamstrings. I'm like, yo, what are we like? This ain't football. So real quick, speeding up, they beat him up so bad Jesse almost couldn't play the next in the state championship game. But I'm gonna say this, man, my guy, Mr. Bowie. If we had, I don't even know the final score. If we had 47 or 49, sure, I probably had 25. Because like I said, they must not have believed in Bowie. They probably saw the city championship game and was like, oh, this kid ain't that good. Yeah. Sure was like, I'm going to show you how good I am. Because they would not let Govan get off at all. So between Bowie and, like I said, putting Perez in the lineup, because now they're doubling down on Bowie, Perez is knocking it down. Yeah. Randy's doing what he's doing. He's locking Herder up. I think Herder had 9 points, but 6 of that came late in the game on a late 3 and a BS foul call that they gave him. So we won that game, and then we faced Christ the King in the Federation ship. I had watched CK. After we won the city, I went to watch who did CK play. I don't know who they played in the chip, but I was like, everybody. And me and Joe would laugh about this to this day. Everybody that year, wanted to take away Raleigh. I'm like, Raleigh's nice. He's not the one you got to worry about. Alvarado's the one you got to worry about because he's the engine. Right, Tasmanian. He's the driver. So, I had my matchup zone, and I told my guys, I said, y'all might think this is unconventional, but trust me when I tell you this. Leave Alkins. Let him shoot and hit as many shots as he wants. Because that means nobody else is getting involved. Because Alvarado's not creating for, I forget who else they had, you know what I mean? Yeah. But he's not getting the flow, and it worked for us.
Good game plan. So y'all let Raleigh get his, but shut down everything else.
One man wasn't beating that team. Nah, that wasn't gonna happen.
Got you. So now y'all clean sweep. Y'all city champs, y'all state champs. How good of a feeling was that, man? To basically be king of the state.
It was great. It was great because, like I said, it was that win wasn't just for 2015.
It was
that was for everybody who lost in the Final Four and we didn't get it done. And I kid you not, the Garden was flooded with black.
Yes, it was.
The Garden was flooded with black.
Y'all basically had damn near the whole Bronx was supporting y'all, man.
For sure. And what made it special for me was when I turned around and I looked and I saw all my former players there. And then when we came out the back, all my former players is there. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, yo, I'm giving them the trophy to take pictures with the trophy. You know what I mean? Like, because it was for all of us. Like they had parts in getting that.
Right. So now, moving along, after 2015, we all know winning is tough. You might have never made it to the chip again, but you still were dominating the borough. Wings was still the prominent program in the Bronx. Up until recent time, how did you go about keeping that going, propelling your program forward? You might not have another 7-footer walk through the doors, but still, you had a dominant program, a respected program in the city. How were you able to accomplish that?
Hungry kids. So what we've always preached is, you know, we come from the Jets. We come from broken homes. We all have struggles in our lives. So my thing to them was let's use your abilities to get you out of your environment. And they brought into that, and they knew even when we were dominating the Bronx, they always understood that we had to get to the Final Four at least to create those collegiate opportunities, because the college coaches would only come. They might come out to the quarterfinals, but they were definitely there for the Final Four.
Yep.
You know, so we knew that's what we had to get. Forget about winning the city, to be able to create collegiate opportunities.
Right. And would you say that that's more important than even winning any?
It's not even close. It's not even close. If I used to say this all the time, if I never won another city chip at Wings, but I was able to get the kids that I was dealing with onto a college campus somewhere where they could see something different than Harlem and the South Bronx and have to walk around with their shoulders up and be on point all the time, I was good with that.
Amen to that, man. So now this past season, you wrapped it up in the Bronx PSAL, and you made the move back over to the Catholic League, back over where you went to high school, where you assisted at for a little minute, Holy Cross High in Queens. Why did you make that move?
A change, just do something different. I like to challenge myself, and I hear all the naysayers. You know, I hear all the naysayers. Oh, he's winning in the Bronx. The Bronx isn't that strong. Oh, he gets to the Final Four. Oh, he can't do this. Oh, this, that, and the third. So I hear all of it. It drives me internally. So it's funny because when I took the job at Holy Cross, he won't be able to win in the Catholic League. And my only answer to that is you better get me now. That you better get me now. That's all. I'm not gonna go no further than that. Because the one thing I do know is I can coach this game.
Yes,
right? And it's not just about talent, right? You gotta have a relationship with your players. You gotta have a relationship with their parents. You have to be a personal person yourself. And all it is to win is it takes your kids believing in you. And I think a lot of times, like, where we go wrong in high school is the business aspect. You know, we got to try to keep the business aspect out of high school sports,
man,
because these kids aren't ready for that yet. But unfortunately, things roll downhill. It starts in the NBA, it rolls to college. It goes from college, it goes to high school.
It's here to stay now, Bill. But
no,
it's like,
it is.
We have to. You want to keep it away from them as much as possible, man. I hate to say it that way, but you really do, man, because it throws the game off the rails a little bit. It throws a lot of these kids into a funk. It's a distraction. All this business stuff, all of this extraness, stuff that has nothing to do with playing basketball. It's unnecessary.
So I just try to keep it basketball and academics. You know what I mean? Like for me, that's the key to this, right? Because if you take care of those two things, everything else is gonna fall into place.
Mm-hmm. What are your expectations in year one with you at the helm of the Holy Cross program?
Change the culture. I have a group that they're tired of losing. They're tired of being laughed at. They work hard, man. They work hard. You know, our shortcomings, you know, we lost our first game in Chaminade the other night. We were up 7 at the half. But we broke down in the second half. Our shortcomings aren't because they don't want to do it. It's just that something they're not used to. So all the things that I'm asking of them is new to them. From terminology to the multiple defenses to the different sets on offense to stuff like that. To the tempo. Mm-hmm. You know, the tempo that we're playing at on both sides of the basketball year is totally different than they've been playing. So once we get that mindset where you don't just step on the floor to play the game, you step on the court expecting to win. That's my goal for this year.
Got you. Do you have a long-term vision for the program to give it a chance of becoming another powerhouse under your belt that you've coached?
Absolutely. That's my goal. Make Holy Cross a powerhouse. I've always felt like Holy Cross has been in an area where it should be a powerhouse. You can get kids from all sides of Queens. You can get kids from the Nassau Queens borderline, and depending on where a kid lives, the 44 is right there. You know what I mean? So you can get kids from the Bronx, depending on if they're close to that 44 line.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, we got a kid from Brooklyn this year. You know, so you can get the Holy Cross. You know, we as a staff, we just got to get out there and advertise the program and get people in the gym to see what we're doing. I actually encourage people to come watch us practice more so than the game because you can see more of the teaching aspect. So that and I think that's big because people want to know that their kids are being developed, right? And even while I was at Wings, I tell people we didn't have overwhelming talent. We developed those kids. They were talented, but we developed their mentals and their physical ability. So I just look to do the same at Holy Cross.
Got you. In your tenure on the sidelines, which coach have you stolen the most from? You know, all coaches are thieves. We all see somebody, see something, we take it with us. Which coach do you think you've stolen the most from?
I see Coach Klus.
Okay.
That's easy. You know, I've stolen one or two things maybe from this person and that person, but as a whole, Coach Klus. Like I'll go back now and I'll watch film from old games that I have. I watched him when he was at Iona. I watched him when he was at CW Post. Like that's where I'm getting this. Like it works.
Absolutely,
it works. It's proven that it works. And Coach Klus was ahead of his time, man.
Yeah.
The tempo that we played at, the 5 out, the 4 out, 1 in. Coach Klus was ahead of his time. The read and react, like he's ahead of his time, man.
He was. He had high major coaches copying some of his stuff during his run at Iona.
Listen, he had high major coaches coming into our open gyms writing stuff down when we were working out at St. Mary's.
Outside of Klus, who are some of your great coaching influences today? Guys that you call up, or guys that, you know, if they're speaking at a clinic you might want to attend. Who are some of your great coaching influences today outside of Coach Klus?
Wow, that's a good question. It's not many. I'm more. I believe in, like, so for me it's Coach Granby, Coach Klus, Coach Kerr when he was at Holy Cross. Like, I've been fortunate in those teachings, right, where those guys are so good that those things are relatable today. I may see a play or a defense, side out, inbounds under, something like that, where, you know, I'll take that. But as far as influences, not many. To be honest with you, I can't think of one. I have a lot of colleagues who, you know, we'll talk basketball. I'll talk basketball with Bud. I'll talk basketball with Tiny. I'll talk basketball with KP. I'll talk basketball with Ryan Queen. Corey Simper at Construction. You know, Abdul Torrance at TMA. You know, we'll talk basketball.
Yeah.
But influence-wise,
right,
it's it's more or less guys that I've played for.
Right.
That I will take those things that I liked, that I didn't like. You know what I mean? Because some of the things I didn't like, I didn't like them for certain reasons. Doesn't mean they weren't good.
Right.
I'll just transition those things into
remix it.
Yeah.
I got you. Best player that you've played against. And when I say best player, it doesn't have to be how their career panned out, but someone that you maybe went back to your block and you like, yo, dude was
I played against or I coached against.
Played against.
I don't know. My class was crazy. I'm not gonna hold you. That '93 class was crazy. Man, that's a tough one.
Or who did you think was the best at that point in time when, yo, man, this is who I think is the best when I'm on the court with them?
You gonna laugh. I ain't respect nobody. No. I'm not gonna say I didn't respect them, but I'm like, yo, listen. Man, that class was loaded, bro. Jamal Robinson, Charles Jones, Selden Jefferson, Sherwin Anderson, Shandu McNeil, like, I don't know. It was a war every night, man.
No one stood above the rest to you.
They was all nice. Kev Simmons, Sunshine, that class was loaded, man. Like, I honestly think it would be unfair to pick one dude because they were all killers. They literally were dogs.
Bill taking the easy way out.
No, bro, I'm trying to think like. We talking 93 here, man.
It could have been a dude. You might have thought a dude you played against that was in the class of '94 was better than dudes in '93. You might thought someone in '92 was better. I don't know who you felt was the best dude that you tied your shoes, and when you took your shoes off, you like, God damn, this dude, he got some.
Bro.
Alright,
give me a minute. We might have come back to that.
Alright. Which player, now this is as a coach, on the AAU grassroots side, which player gave you the most work that you just remember vividly? Going back to the hotel, yo, this dude, man.
DJ Augustin. So I was coaching the Panthers 17U, and we had Bob Gibbons. At that time, Bob Gibbons was
cream of the crop.
Yes. So first of all, I'm a diehard Carolina fan. So the fact that I'm coaching on Carolina's floor already got me hyped with gas, like I'm about to play. Like,
you were a young boy at the time too, so
what? I gotta see if I can find a picture. I think there's a picture of me laying on a half. I kid you not, like, yo, bro. I'm serious. You gonna have me go back? I gotta call my aunt. She keeps all the photos. I know I had a photo of me laying on half court of the Smiths. So we were playing New Orleans Jazz. And Gary and I laugh about this to this day. At that time, Tasman Mitchell was the #1 player in the country. So I'm a firm believer in, I like to put the battery in my players' backs. So I'm talking to Danny before the game, like, yo, that's your matchup. You want A, B, or C? That's where you got to take it from, right? Didn't know who DJ Augustin was. Gary claims he knew who DJ Augustin was, but you didn't tell me. So my focus was Tasman Mitchell. I knew who he was from the rankings. Right. Long story short, got Danny, Tyson, Tyrone, Kaheen. We shutting Tasman down. Unbeknownst to me, is Mr. DJ Augustin. He starts cooking Chris Lowe and Marcus Cox. And he got so hot, there was no cooling him off. I think we lost in the Final Four, and he had a 30 ball, maybe 36, something like that. From that day forward, I knew who DJ Augustin was. So I would say, yeah. You know what? That's one of the things, even with AAU-wise, I've always prided myself on not getting beat by the other team's best players. Right. You know, that's my philosophy. Like, if we're going to lose, them other guys are going to have to beat us. But yeah, I definitely didn't do my homework on that one. I didn't.
Got you. Now, as a high school coach, which player impressed you the most? Doesn't have to be the dude with the biggest name, but like a dude that you, after that game, you like, God damn, where that came from. Or it could have been a dude with a big name that just had a miraculous performance. But as a high school coach, who really you really had to tip your hat to after their performance?
Man. I mean, we had wars with guys got off, but like, I don't know, we wasn't with it, man. Like, I'm telling you, my wings boys is tough, man. We wasn't having any of that. As you can see, Randy guarded Dwayne Bacon, and shut him down for the whole first half of the Dick Sporting Good Invitational. But my guys had pride, man. We was like. But now, like I said, a lot of main dudes didn't kill us because we took them away. Mm-hmm. But I know Shamari Pons had a solid game against us in the Final Four that year.
I feel like Mike had a really good first half. I don't know if it
Mike Taylor.
Y'all, yeah.
No, Mike Taylor. So it was. Nah, man, we ain't gonna talk about that. we ain't gonna do that. But no, Mike Taylor had a good game against us in the. Thaddeus Hall had a good game against us. I mean, there's guys that had good games against us, of course.
Nobody in your mind had a performance that like just really sticks out to you, like.
As an individual, no. As a team, that high team that blitzed us that year, we down 32. Like, man, that might be my lowest moment as a coach. Like. I pride myself on being prepared, mentally and physically, and we weren't prepared. We definitely were not prepared that game.
That's real, man. Who's been the toughest opposing coach during your tenure on the sidelines? Whether it's high school, whether it's guys that you always seen repetitively in AAU, who's been the toughest coach on the opposing sideline?
Coach Mathis.
What made Mathis rest in peace? What made Mathis so tough?
He's a basketball savant. That 1-1-3, that 2-2-1, like I've seen. Even on his weaker teams, I knew we had to be prepared, because they're going to be disciplined, they're going to execute on both ends of the floor, they're going to play hard, and we fought so long on the court like that, in a good way. I knew what he's going to do, and he knew what I was going to do. So now it's just a matter of whose guys can get deeper into their stuff. And it was, it wasn't until the last couple of years when Kennedy began to fall off that, it became one-sided. But, I mean, even when we were winning, it was still battles.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Bill, man, I appreciate you sitting down with us on Rip and Go, man, answering all our questions. And taking this time, man, to sit down with us for this interview, my man. Nah,
I appreciate you having me. You definitely got me thinking of some questions that I need to figure the answers out too. Like the best player, the best, like wow, that stuff I never think about, man. Like, but it's been fun. I enjoyed it.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.